Welcome to Health, Wealth and Happiness.
I'm James.
I'm Joe. Welcome to the show. So our next guest is a fellow Sheffield lad, Liam Gallagher's #1 fan, and co-founder of Boxing Science, relatively new concept that seems to really have taken the boxing fraternity by storm over the past few years. Danny Wilson, welcome.
Hi Joe. Hi James.
How you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Yourself?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, really good.
It's all good.
Is it Danny or Daniel?
Danny.
Danny, right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so look, we'll jump straight into it. So who is Danny Wilson?
Yeah, so hello everybody. Hope you're all well during this difficult time in lockdown. My name's Danny Wilson. I'm a strength and conditioning coach from Sheffield. A lot of you might not know what a strength and conditioning coach is, because when I say it's like a distant family member or a friend of a friend, you know, when they ask me what I do and I'm a strength and conditioning coach, they look at me like really gone out. Basically what it is, it's being a personal trainer for an athlete. You know, we need to meet the specific demands of a sport. So it's not like a personal trainer, like basically building up muscles or getting somebody shredded. We're looking to make an athlete fitter, faster, stronger, so they can compete better at their sport. I've got about 10 years of experience. I've worked in a range of different sports. Worked at Sheffield United Football Club, working with academies all the way through to the first team. Chesterfield Football Club. I've worked at Sheffield Eagles, which is a rugby league team, and also based at Sheffield University, where I've worked with a range of different athletes from, let's think of a few, basketball, canoe polo, if you ever knew that was a sport, table tennis.
Canoe polo?
Canoe polo.
Sports, so that's one.
Talk us through that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like water polo, but in canoes. And this guy I was training, one day just came and all his top teeth were out because one of the oars went into his face and going for the ball. So it's more brutal than what it sounds like. It sounds quite soft, but you know, this guy had all his teeth, front teeth knocked out, bless him. So worked with in a range of different sports. At the moment, I work for England Golf as a regional strength and conditioning coach. I work with the Yorkshire boys and girls under 18s. And my main role is with boxing. So I'm a strength and conditioning coach for amateur and professional boxers. And I run an online business called Boxing Science, where we have all these training methods. We have it on a free platform across a website, YouTube, and other social media channels. And also do like kind of paid programs as well. So we take the blueprint, so that can be kind of trained and performed all over the world by athletes and coaches. Also got an education platform. So yeah, that's more of an overview of what I do for a living.
So what's the bread and butter of Boxing Science?
Yeah, so Boxing Science, it's a sports science consultancy for amateur and professional boxing. So that's not just strength and conditioning, which is lifting weights, making sure that we're stronger and faster, but it's also physiology, which is running, and where you see them with the gas masks on, taking the blood lactate, we analyse what's going on in the body whilst they're performing. We also do a range of testing and research, so we know what the physical characteristics are of successful boxers. And then we also do sports psychology, which is really important because, you know, boxers say that it's 90% mental. They put this like figure on it. Basically, if you're not in the right mindset, no matter what your body can do, if you're not in the right mindset going into fight night, that can really affect your performance. So psychology is a massive thing that we do. And also nutrition, because it's a weight-making sport. An athlete has to get down to 4 or maybe 5% body fat. They have to lose a significant amount of weight in a short amount of time. You know, getting their bodies down to like 10 stone, 9 stone. Even had a boxer down at 8 stone before. So yeah, like nutrition is a massive factor to what we do at Boxing Science. And the main reason why Boxing Science came about is because I was working in all these different sports, such as like football and rugby league, and there were these like systems in place. So when a footballer turns up at Sheffield United, under 8s, which some of them are even like signing pro contracts now. I'm seeing it on Twitter. I'm thinking, wow, I feel old now. I remember when they were this big. But there's a defined system in place for them to improve as athletes.
Yeah.
Whereas boxers, they haven't got that. Unless they, well, obviously back in the day when I first started in 2014, the only boxers that received strength and conditioning for free were the GB boxing squad, and there's about 20 on that GB boxing squad, and there are 20,000, 30,000 boxers in the UK. So we needed to put something in place where these athletes were being able to access strength and conditioning. We needed to put some standards in place. So we did our research, we've do our training, and then obviously see the difference and the impact of strength and conditioning. And then we need to share that message across an accessible platform. So we're making it like kind of accessible to the boxing coaches, because they're the ones that need to start implementing these practices, because not every boxer or amateur boxer will have access to their local strength and conditioning coach, because of time constraints and financial constraints as well. So we need to educate the boxing coaches on how best to implement strength and conditioning into their gym. So we need to find a way where that's going to be accessible to them, and that's online, that's through social media, that's through videos, because the traditional way of spreading and sharing research in sports science is through a sports science journal. And there's not many boxing coaches that will pick up a sports science journal. So we need different ways on how to share that.
Many
so
boxing coaches read a newspaper.
Yeah. So we need to do many different ways. Like I said, videos, photos, programs. People like to just be shown what to do.
Yeah.
Not like being explained all the science behind it. They buy into it. They look to us as being the experts, and they're just like, right, you just tell me what to do. So we've got to find a wide range of different things to do, and I think we do that pretty well at Boxing Science.
Joe's told me along the years when he's been going out his boxing journey, and he was telling me what his training looked like all those years ago. What inspired you to sort of break the norm and bringing that science touch to boxing?
Yeah, just to touch on that, when I boxed as a kid, from being 11-year-old up to being 20, 21. And when I was doing it, conditioning was road work, i.e. you go for a 3-mile run 5 times a week. And then you do your then in the gym, you do your circuits, bag work, pad work, and spar. That were it. So there were none of this. There were none of, I mean, when do you think it changed as well?
Well, I think it's like gradually changed over the years. I can't see any like kind of defined point. I've just seen a video of like David A when he boxed that Valiev, that absolute giant, Russian giant, when he won heavyweight title. And I'm thinking, David A did quite a lot of kind of strength and conditioning work, but it wasn't like kind of labelled as that. It was just like doing weights and fitness and everything like that. So I think it's gradually, the use of weights in different ways. We're not training like bodybuilders. We're training like athletes. We're looking to meet the demands of the sport. And then the first time I came across a strength and conditioning coach in boxing was Amir Khan and Manny Pacquiao was training with Alex Ariza out in the Wild Card gym in America. And I think that was when people started taking notice, because Manny Pacquiao was just blasting through everybody, keep going up the weights, keep, maintaining his strength, his speed, his fitness. And people are like, right, what is this guy doing? So more people started more boxers tried getting on strength and conditioning. In terms of the UK, there's 2 different things. One, Kel Brook, when he came to Sheffield University, started working with my colleagues, Dave Hember and Alan Ruddock, and he started doing like the proper strength conditioning, the proper like weightlifting, deadlifts, squats, bench press, doing a bit of Olympic lifting as well. It was in the lab, he had the mask on where we were doing the tests, and very sport-specific fitness. And another contributing factor is a GB boxing program. So I mentioned that there's only about 20 on that GB boxing program having access to strength conditioning, but they're on that program for at least 4 years, so a full Olympic cycle. And this has developed really good habits, and these Olympic boxers end up being our established pros. So when they go from the amateurs to the pro game, they're creating that new standard of doing strength conditioning and everything like that. So I think the best kind of strength conditioning started for London 2012. You had the likes of Anthony Joshua, who won a gold medal there, and he was doing strength conditioning. And all them kind of boxers that came from that 2012 group, you know, passed on the message of, you know, strength conditioning, created them standards. I think that's what's had a massive impact on strength conditioning. In terms of like why it's taken so long, financial constraints is a massive factor. You know, football probably has only just got its act together over the last 5 or 10 years. You know, 10 years ago, football looked very different. And think about the money that was kind of thrown about, you know, only 10 years ago. So, you know, it's a massive kind of financial constraint. You'd say that it's always battling traditions, but you're battling traditions in a range of sports. You know, I know many strength conditioning coaches that have clashed heads with footballers. You know, I work in golf as well. You know, there's many clashes with golf coaches about strength conditioning. So it's not like kind of boxing is the only sport. It's kind of been slow to conform to strength conditioning. I just think it's like kind of, I think it's more down to the financial constraints, because I think that most boxing coaches and most athletes know that being fitter, faster and stronger will help them be a better boxer. You know, you're creating that foundation to be able to go faster and harder in the ring, keep up that fitness, that technique for longer. So they recognise that the benefits of strength conditioning is just being a little bit slower than the other sports.
I guess, well, you mentioned about football there. Why boxing? Why did you go into boxing as opposed to maybe football or another sport there?
Well, when I was younger, I didn't box myself, but I absolutely loved the Rocky films. I romanticised about the training. I always like went and out running with the Rocky soundtrack on. I decided that I wanted a six-pack like Sylvester Stallone, doing like hundreds of sit-ups a day, which my later life hasn't thanked it for. But just wanted to train just like Rocky. So then I went into like a normal gym. I went into fitness first, looking to try and put on a bit of muscle mass, and like with my career, I didn't really get it like started until like the third year of uni. I did 2 years at university. Didn't really know what to do. I've always been told, if you want to make money out of sport, you got to go into teaching or be a PE teacher, either in a school or college. So I was like kind of going down that path, and then I was like, I went on to like a work placement in a college, and it was the worst 6 weeks of my life. Not because well, I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it because there's only about even in a college, there's only about 1 or 2 kids there that are actually engaging with what, you know, I'm so passionate about what I do. And if there's only 1 or 2 people that are like engaging with the actual thing, most of them are just like, right, I don't want to do the homework, don't want to do the work. They'd rather just mess about. And I just thought, you know what, it's not worth the effort. You know, my passion is in training. You know, how can I best be a trainer? And I wanted to get into strength conditioning, but the main reason why I got into strength conditioning is because I was watching the videos of Manny Pacquiao and Amir Khan doing the training with Alex Riza, and I just saw him and just thought, that's exactly what I want to do. But there wasn't like that pathway into boxing, so that's why I ended up being in football, wanted to be, gaining that experience, because there wasn't that pathway into boxing. And then, what showed me the pathway is Kel Brook coming into the university. I wasn't ready to like do any kind of work with him. I weren't experienced enough at that point. But I started like kind of building up my experience just from working with a student boxer. I just said, like, they were in the gym. I just said to them, right, let me like kind of manage your strength conditioning, do your program. I'll do it all for free. So I did that, met his
Who was
coach.
that?
Pardon?
Who was that?
Or a lad called Shane McCarthy. So he was only a student boxer, so he only like competed in the university championships and varsity, Sheffield varsity weights, uni of Sheffield versus Sheffield Hallam University. That is the best amateur boxing show that you'll ever go to. They're not amazing boxers because some are on the first bout, but like the atmosphere in there is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So he was a university level boxer, but his coach is a very forward thinking coach. He's called Brendan Warburton, and he's like actually like a good friend of mine now because I've maintained that relationship over the years. I met him, and he got me involved with Callum Beardo, who's now a professional boxer, and from there more because he was like the main boxer from their gym, winning national titles. More of the boxers from their gym started doing like small group sessions on a Saturday morning. And then I kind of just grew it from there, doing like more sessions with the same boxers, doing some research. And then eventually start doing some one-to-one with some professional boxers. So my mindset was always to work in boxing because I'm a fan, because it's great, because it can have a massive impact on the sport as well. You've got 10, 12 weeks to get that athlete in the best possible shape. Whereas like in football or rugby, you're always battling a fixture list. So you're always working.
So are you a big, so like the likes of Kell Brook, Billy Joe Saunders, like the super fights that you're involved with, are you a big part of the camp? Do you go to the camp with them, to the training camp?
Yeah. So it depends like kind of what level of service that we're giving. So like Billy Joe, he's come in for like testing and some like kind of training support and some remote training support as well. Whereas like when I worked with Kell Brook, I went away with him to Fuerteventura for 3 weeks, and then was like working with him like 4 or 5 times a day, whether that's doing a strength training session, running, base conditioning, or like just an active recovery. So doing stretching and doing some core work and everything like that. So yeah, so my work goes from the very start of camp all the way through to fight week, making sure that they're tapered off effectively, they're stretched off, they're mobile, they're loose, they're ready to go. Sometimes I'm involved in the weight making process, which could be like an acute dehydration, nothing like too dangerous, making sure that they're doing it in the right way, helping them refuel, and then warming up on fight night, doing the mobility, making sure that they're potentiated, firing and ready to go when they go in the pads, giving them the best possible opportunity of winning.
Fantastic. You've obviously worked with like people like Derek Chisora, Billy Joe, as Joe mentioned there, and a few others. I'm a big boxing fan as well. I love watching it. What are these characters like? Are there any ones that stand out from the rest?
They're all a bit crazy.
Remember, this is recorded.
Yeah.
No filter.
Yeah. They're all a bit crazy. They're all. You've got the main thing that you've got to do as a strength and conditioning coach is be empathetic. You've got to understand your athlete, understand their mindset. What you like. Sometimes I've had to break things down and I say, look, I know you think as a fighter, and you will not like kind of bottle a situation or just think like grind through. I'm speaking as a logical person. I understand what you're thinking to a certain degree, but it's a totally different mindset. I was talking about this yesterday on the Boxing Science podcast, where when we go on training camp, we eat and drink and maybe train not as hard like the boxer, so we could get a full understanding of what they go through. And I don't eat exactly what they do because I'm much heavier than they are, I'm bigger than they are, and I don't have to lose as much weight as they do during training camp. But I was absolutely starving when I was on training camp. I lost a load of weight. I was struggling for like motivation. I was fatigued and everything like that. And I'm thinking, wow, these boxers go through this every single day in training camp, and they've got to train twice a day, much harder than what I'm training like. And that makes you understand what their mindset is. The grit and the determination is fantastic. You've got to give them that respect all the time. In terms of like kind of the characters, you know, you speak about Billy Joe and Derek Chisora. They're really nice guys, you know. Most, like the majority of the boxers that I've worked with are really humble, nice. Sometimes you can't
think
believe...
it's a front then? You think it's a front they put on for the cameras to sell the fights, but then behind the scenes they're pretty mellow, they're chilled.
Yeah, sometimes you've got to go and do that because the main thing that boxers want to do is to get paid and get paid well. So if they could, you know, obviously they've got that crazy side to them, and you know, we've had some of the conversations. That'll be a great podcast. You know, fly on the wall at Boxing Science. You know, they are down to earth guys because of the backgrounds that they come from. Yeah. You know, they're working class. They've had to fight for what they've got, and they are great to work with. And it inspires me every day to see what they actually go through. But
who's the biggest diva that you've worked with?
Pardon?
Who's the biggest diva that you've worked with out of the box?
Biggest diva? Chisora was one. Chisora was one, yeah. But he was fine. He was fine with me. He's got like a management team. He's got Haymaker Promotions. He's got like a big management team. He made them work hard. He wasn't he wasn't necessarily a diva with me. He was a diva with the rest. Who else is a diva? I think Chisora's got to be one, but they haven't really been a diva with me because they like kind of have that respect.
Yeah. Billy Joe Saunders like to work with.
It's good. It's good. He's got, you know, the difference between, you know, so like kind of in the notes, like what is the difference between these world champions and a regular boxer is, you know, Dom Ingle always says it, and I don't want to say it without kind of referring to him saying it, but they've got that X factor where they've got that little bit of something about them, whether that's in boxing, the training, or the running, or the strength, or just in their mindset and their presence. You can just tell that they've got it, and it's hard to explain it. The main thing that I'd explain it as is when we do the 30-15 test. So we do a maximum running test.
I've seen the videos on that. It was disgusting.
30 seconds on, 15 seconds off. It starts at 8 kilometers an hour. It goes up 0.5 each time. So there's about like 30 or 40 different levels, but we go up in kilometers an hour. And the top speeds are around anywhere between 20 and 24 kilometers an hour. And we expect like our boxers to hit about 22 to 24 kilometers an hour. And with Billy Joe, when he came in first ever testing session, I can normally see when a boxer's going to fail because I've done this test hundreds of times. I basically look at the heart rate, I look at what they're looking like. Billy Joe, I just went, he's not going to make 19 in, like, because he was start at camp. I was like, he's not going to make 19. And my colleague Alan Ruddock, he's a physiologist, he agreed with me. But he hit like 22 and a half. Because so he went up an extra 6 levels compared to what I predicted him at. I'm normally like about 1 out or bang on the dot because I've seen this test done so many times. Yeah. But physically, he weren't supposed to do that. But psychologically, he pushed through. And this is what you see with all the boxers. People like Kell Brook able to dig in. And
I've heard rumours about Kell. I mean, I sort of grew up around Kell. Like we boxed amateur together. He was a year older than me, and even from a young age, he was known just to be an absolute beast in training.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any like does he stand out against the rest of them, or are they all sort of at that same similar level?
I'd say Kell Brook is the best all round athlete that I've trained.
Oh, really?
He's like like. The rest have like got that psychological mentality and you know, able to dig in and the fit and everything like that. But with Kelly was like a solid 9 out of 10 across his strength, his speed, his fitness, his mentality, his his ring IQ and everything like that. He's definitely the one that stands out.
Is he pound for pound fighter? Is that the phrase that they use? Pound for
Yeah,
pound,
yeah.
something like that. Anyway, I'm trying to fit in here. Anyway,
Yeah.
you mentioned that you can see when people are dropping off by the testing you've done, like the lactate testing. I kind of relate to you because I was part of Team GB rowing, and they always used to take our blood from our ear when we do like a heavy ergo, and we drop off and they collect our blood and they could tell us, where our UT1 is, where our UT2 is. So I guess that's valuable information, especially in the boxing industry where hardly any coaches are doing this, and you can tell when your fighter's going to drop off in what round, and then you can periodize your training around that. I guess it's a game changer.
Yeah, it gives us a great understanding of how that person is responding to increased intensity. So I kind of wanted to answer it in a question earlier. But the main reason why we start using high intensity interval training is because on the long road runs, that's not meeting the demands of the sport. We know from our research that boxers are pushed to high intensities, and they have to repeat them high intensities over sometimes 3 rounds, sometimes over 12 rounds. And they go to somewhere that we call the red zone, which is 90% maximum heart rate. So if they ever go out and run where heart rate monitor, you'll see this red kind of area at the top. This is what we call the red zone, 90% maximum heart rate. And a boxer is always driving into this zone and then dropping off into 3-minute rounds. From our research, about 60 to 70% of time over a 10-round spar is in that red zone. So when we're doing like longer steady state runs, that's not meeting the demands of the sport. And that's the role of the strength and conditioning coach, is to physically prepare our athletes and meet the demands of the sport. So when we do a lactate profile, what we see, like you mentioned, the lactate turn points there. This is mainly done with endurance athletes to see kind of what pace that they can run at, like below what we call the lactate turn point. With our lactate profile, we kind of push them beyond there. So how their body responds when they actually push out their comfort zone. So whether that's one level, so 1 kilometer an hour more, or whether that's 2 kilometers an hour more. And what we see with boxers is that they're very good endurance athletes. The curve will go straight across, but as soon as they hit that kind of lactate turn point, that lactate threshold, their lactate goes through the roof. So that's showing that they're not like accustomed to anaerobic performance. So if this happens in a boxing fight, and if they are they're having to dig in a tough fight, or they go for a TKO where they don't get the knockout and they end up punching themselves out, they have high lactate values and they're unable to kind of recover from that or recognize that feeling. So that's what we do at Boxing Science. We try and make them into high intensity athletes so they can produce high intensities, have the ability to recover from them, so they can repeat and endure them high intensity efforts as well. So so that's what we get from the lactate profile, and we get a good understanding. We're able to put a very solid high intensity interval training program in place.
So what percentage now with training do you think should be sort of technique, pad, bags, sparring, and what percentage should be conditioning?
It's hard to put a percentage on it. I can say what the normal training schedule is. So they typically train 6 days a week. They have 1 day rest. They do 5 boxing training sessions, and then they do 2 strength sessions, and then they'll do 3 high intensity conditioning sessions, and then they'll do an active recovery. Active recovery sessions where they're building up their fitness without getting that fatigue. So they're going, if it's a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being extremely hard in a really hard spar, 1, they've got their feet up watching Netflix during lockdown. It's around about a 3 out of 10. So when they're just like having a steady jog and they're able to talk to the partner or something like that. Yeah. And this is important because we're wanting them to keep burning calories. So then this helps them make the weight more safely and more effectively. So yeah, so it's a very busy schedule, and what you've got to recognise as a strength conditioning coach is that you're just part of the jigsaw. So you're just a percentage of the program, and you want to try and optimize the adaptations during that session without having an effect on all the other training sessions. So we talked earlier about like the difference between a personal trainer and a strength conditioning coach. A personal trainer can get you doing 5 sets of 10 on a squat, and then you're not able to sit on the toilet the next day. We're not able to do that as strength conditioning coaches, because they need to go and spar. They need to go and do the pad work and everything like that. And, you know, if you obviously, you know yourself, Joe, if you've got heavy legs in a spar and you can't move, you're going to get hit more. Or you're not going to be able to produce as much force. So you're not going to be able to last the rounds. So we need to make sure that we're boosting their training and their competitive performance as well. So you've got to know what the training plan is. You've also got to understand that each session is just a certain percentage to the full picture, and you've got to prioritize that as well. So strength is important, but it's not as important as the running. The running's important, but it's not as important as the pad work and the technical work.
You've got all these moving pieces. It's the art of recovery and periodization and pulling it all together to obviously perform at peak performance.
A motto that we use at Boxing Science is where we push the body and then we let it recover. So we have medium days, we have hard days, we have medium weeks, we have hard weeks. But we just make sure that our athlete is recovering in the right way, and then making sure that they're doing an effective taper, so then they're peaking on fight night.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So what's your proudest achievement with Boxing Science?
It's hard to define one achievement. I think as strength conditioning coaches, we can be prone to having our achievements to our athletes. So people like Jordan Gill, winning the Commonwealth title, winning the WBA international title as well. You know, working with Jordan, still working with Jordan now, 5 years in. But it's been like a kind of rocky road towards that kind of Commonwealth title. You know, he was out of the ring for 18 months. We weren't getting the opportunities that we felt that he deserved. And then when he did get the opportunities, he took it with both hands, and he absolutely smashed his way onto the scene. And we prepared him to make that jump from a 4-round, 6-round fighter into a 10 and 12-round fighter. So my work with Jordan is a massive achievement. Just generally, you know, making something out of nothing. When I started strength conditioning, there was nothing in boxing, and then now people like looking towards Boxing Science as like kind of this thing that kind of help influence a lot of strength conditioning in boxing. When people come back to me and say that, you know, that's a massive achievement for us.
I've seen you covered in the boxing news before.
Yeah. I try and get my face. Yeah, I try and get my face everywhere. So did like some articles, boxing news, just being open to do anything like this. You know, this isn't directly for like strength conditioning in boxing and everything like that. You've just got to try and, you know, if you're doing a online business, you've got to try and optimize every opportunity. So from a very early age in my strength conditioning career, I was kind of pushing myself out there, and some people struggle with that because they think that they're going to get judged. From 2012, I was doing my own blog, and I wasn't ready to do my own blog, and a lot of people give me some shit. Sorry if I'm not allowed to swear.
Yeah, much worse than that, mate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. So the, you know, I got a load of stick for like the articles that I'm putting out, and people are like going, you know, who do you think you are, and everything like that. But that gave me good practice and accustomed to putting message out there. So I don't mind what I look like on a video, what I sound like on a podcast, whether I've got a terrible lockdown haircut. You know, I'm accustomed to doing
as bad as James. Don't worry about
it. And you know, you might upset a few people. I've upset a few people in boxing, think that's what been one of the biggest challenges is trying to share your methods without saying to boxing coaches, right, what you've been doing for the last 20, 30 years has been terrible. What have you been doing? I can't say that. That it's a very fine line. I
remember when I was a kid, weights made you slow.
Yeah.
There was zero weight training when I boxed because it was the mentality of weight slowed you down. You need to be fast.
Well, there is an element of truth about that. If you train like personal trainer, looking for gains and looking for bigger biceps and triceps, that is going to slow you down. But if you're meeting the demands of the sport, looking to make a fast and explosive fighter, we train heavy. We do some maximal deadlifts and squats, but we work down something called the force velocity curve, where we go to more fast and explosive actions. So we try and link it up to a sport-specific action. So we like throw a medicine ball in a punching action, do some explosive jumps. We use a equipment called gym aware, which is basically tracks your barbell speed when you're lifting. So when we do squats and bench press and deadlifts, we're doing this in a very fast and explosive way that can help transfer into boxing specific actions.
I guess that's where it's moved on, that explosiveness, that plyometrics, functional training, strength training, whilst manipulating energy balance, making weight, as you said, is that combination of driving that conditioning change as opposed to just washing away and losing that performance. So that fusion of science that's come into the sport is a game changer, and actually looking at the athletes on fight night compared to where they were in previous years, in looking at how much more conditioned they are. Just applying the science.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think like training standards, not only from boxing and sport, I think just generally in the gyms, when I first went into fitness first, there was just machine. No, I'm not talking about the members. I'm talking about the actual equipment. They were just like
that joke before, hadn't you?
Yeah, and then a free weight section that was quite small and full of basically steadheads, But now you go into gym, I can't believe the difference. Like, because there were quite a big gap between me going into a normal gym because I was like obviously training out of my own facility at Sheffield University. I started like, because I moved up to Wakefield now, going to exercise for less there. And I'm looking around and there's a functional area, there's a prowler, there's girls in the free weight section. They're wearing all that. And I'm thinking, when I first started in like 12, 13 years ago in a normal gym, the difference has changed, and it's changed for the better. We're doing much more functional training. It's cool to train as well because of the use of social media and everything. So it's not only boxing that's improved, it's just general health and well-being.
So what advice would you give to an 18-year-old Danny Wilson?
A little bit like what I said about the blog situation. Don't really care about what people are going to say. Obviously care about what your close circle of friends and family say. Take their advice on board, but don't feel anxious about doing what you feel is right, because a lot of people won't be able to see what you envisage. And this is something that I say to athletes when they've got these external influences of their friends. They don't understand what it takes to be successful in their sport. So they don't understand like the vigors of training, dieting, that long-term vision, because they're not in this world. So I think like for me, I think like sometimes I've been kind of put down by a few people or felt a little bit judged or something like that, and that's kind of held me back from different situations. I started YouTube in 2014, but I didn't get in front of a camera and presenting until about 2017, 2018. And that's that kind of curve for our growth could have come a lot sooner for us. But because I was like nervous in front of the camera, I didn't want to do it. But the only way you're going to get better in front of the camera is practicing.
Yeah.
And that and in 2017, I started doing like a vlog, and I felt awful doing it. Like it was only me on a table in front of the camera. I felt absolutely awful doing it all the time. And I look back and I think, oh my God, what am I doing there? But that's given me the foundations to go and do it now.
Yeah.
And we're talking this day and age now in lockdown, online coaching and social media is so important. And I'm counting blessings that I've created that foundation for our business there to push out the comfort zone. So now I'm actually not too bad in front of the camera. I can set up my own podcast and know how to manage an online business. There's loads of strength conditioning coaches now and personal trainers going, shit, I need to get something sorted online. And they're starting from scratch. Whereas like I've had that apprenticeship over the last 10 years. So an 18-year-old Danny Wilson, I'd just say, don't feel afraid of being judged and work your arse off.
Love it.
So what's happening now then? So what's next for Boxing Science?
Well, we're a little bit on hold at the moment, obviously with lockdown. We have got an online membership where there's like a range of like different exercises in an exercise library, full video demonstrations, workshops, everything like that. People are accessing that more, so we're looking to try and grow that. We put like a lockdown section on that, so exercises that can be done and different workouts that can be done with either no equipment at all or very limited equipment. We were just about to bring out a new program, but nobody's got access to the gyms. So we're just looking to try and find different ways that we can adapt our content geared towards the membership. I don't feel right to bring out a totally new product now. So it's a little bit on hold at the moment for Boxing Science, but we're just looking to keep growing our online membership, keep growing our social media content, keep doing loads of different videos and blogs and everything like that. So yeah, I think that's like kind of the short term, but the long term vision is to, when we're out of lockdown, is to establish a better relationship with England Boxing. We've had a relationship with them before, but I think now's the time to actually really push that and try and get like Boxing Science into as many gyms as possible. We've got that foundation with the website. We've got loads of content on there that any coach can access. They just need to be able to be redirected to that. So we need the support of England Boxing to do that. There's been like kind of obstacles in the way in the past, but I'm sure that we can come to some sort of agreement so we can help improve the level of strength conditioning in boxing.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay.
For sure.
And what do you think is next for boxing with all this, what's going off at the minute?
It's going to be a struggle because boxing heavily relies on ticket sales. So the only kind of boxing that I can see happening is like Eddie Hearn with Matchroom Boxing. You might have seen it in the Daily Mail the other day and across all social media that he's putting on fights in his back garden. In his
Not garden, though, is it?
Yeah. It's not your average garden, is it? Yeah. So that's So Matchroom Boxing HQ, he's putting a lot of funding into that, but they get huge traction on YouTube. They get fantastic sponsorship, so they're going to have the funding to be able to put that on. Not many boxing promoters will be able to put that on. Yeah. So that's all I can see now. That they say that that's going to come in July. I've seen the date, July 18th, and they're going to put on 4 shows on 4 consecutive weeks. In terms of like kind of small hall promotions, it depends what the government says about, small like kind of attendance. Is that going to be 50 people? Is it going to be 100? Are people going to be wanting to go to live events this year? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, because I know as well, especially like younger boxers, prospects coming through, they get paid peanuts. Like you say yourself, they make the money on commission from the tickets. No tickets, no money.
Yeah, no tickets, no money. There's no venue that they can box at, and the ones that are going to have the best opportunities are the ones that are in that middle ground where the championship level fighters, they're going to be in good competitive fights. So this is good for telly, but they're not going to cost as much. So they're in that middle ground, whereas like the prospects that are coming through, they're still needing to fight journeymen and build up their experience and their ring craft. People on telly aren't going to engage with that. So they need to make sure that their numbers are high. It's not based on ticket sales now, it's based on views. And then also, it's how they're going to generate money for the big guys like Fury and Joshua. They need ticket sales. Joshua on the gate brings in tens of millions of pounds. Are they going to give that up? The site fee for Saudi Arabia was like something like 100 million. So if they can host it in Saudi Arabia, I think you could see Joshua out there again. But I don't think it was supposed to be boxing in Tottenham Hotspur's ground, sell 80,000 tickets. I don't think that's going to happen this year. So yeah, it's very uncertain times. But what I can see happening is these kind of the championship level fighters, they're going to have the opportunities to do these matchroom shows. Prospects, they're going to have to wait. They're going to have to tick over. Hopefully, they're going to be financially secure. And then your big fights, such as like Joshua and Fury, they're going to be like somewhere where they're going to be able to host it. Might be on Dana White's Fight Island. You never know.
What young prospects have you got coming through? I know we need to watch out for.
Yeah, so we've got Jordan Gill. I mentioned him. He was on the ascendancy last year, but unfortunately he had a defeat. But it's just another setback. We know that Jordan's going to go on to bigger and better things. He's going to learn a lot from that defeat. Pardon?
I do rate him. I've seen Fury's fight.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And that fight that he lost, he weren't himself. He was ill on day. It's like looking back in hindsight, like little kind of things that you see, but you're just thinking, is he nervous? He's a bit quiet, and he's looking a bit peaky and stuff like that. And then actually goes in. You don't. The last thing that you want to ask a fighter on fight day, "You all right?" And he's told me that before. I was like sick of people asking me, "Am I all right?" So when I looked at him a few times, I'm thinking, "Is he all right?" Like that. And then obviously, like in round one of that fight, I just knew then because Jordan is so fast and explosive, and his jab is electric, and he got countered over a jab in first round. I just thought, like, this ain't good. This. So it's been a harsh lesson, but no one as dedicated as him. He's been training every day during lockdown. I'm sure he's got the skills, the determination, the physical qualities to make it all the way. So Jordan Gill is definitely a massive one. I'm also working with Callum Beardo, who's a local fighter. He's a wrecking machine. I'm looking forward to seeing him kind of progress through the ranks. The Vanilla Gorilla, that's the best name. That's the best name for a fight. When he said that, because we're like trying to think of names, and he says, "Oh, my mates just said Vanilla Gorilla," and I'm just like, "That's brilliant. That's brilliant."
Yeah, because since day one, hasn't he?
Yeah. So you were one of my first fighters. So when
that must be a dream for you then to take him all the way.
Yeah, and Jordan as well, because Jordan, I've had him come down for 5 years. So when he's getting into these title fights and everything like that, it's fantastic. Yeah. Then obviously Callum, 2013, so that's over 7 years now. And I've seen him like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 times a week for the last 7 years. So it's great to see him come through. When we actually won that Kell Brook undercard, like I'm seeing a load of people from Matchroom Boxing that I've known for years, and they're like going, "Who's this Callum Beardo?" I'm like, "I've been working. This is my first boxing." They couldn't believe it because they've obviously seen me with Kell and Kid Gallard and Jordan Gill and Anthony Fowler for all these years, and then like this is the original guy. We're also working with Hopi Price, who's he didn't get on the GB boxing program, but he won gold at the Youth Olympics. I don't know how many national titles he's got. I don't think I've got enough fingers to count how many amateur titles he's got. But he's a fantastic boxer. And another one is Cal Yousaf. He's a local fighter. He hasn't really been on like a big show. I think he's been on a few Kell Brook undercards, but he hasn't been like on anything like Sky or anything like that.
Single camp?
He was there, but it's at Steel City Gym now under Grant Smith. Yeah. He's a flyweight and he hits so hard. He's so powerful. It's a dream to work with because you can literally mold him into anything that you want. You know, you can do endurance, you can do max out sprints on the curve. It's fast, it's explosive, it's fit, and you know I'm looking forward to his English champion at the moment. Was supposed to be boxing for the British title this year. Obviously, lockdowns had a massive impact on that. But he's definitely someone to look out for, especially if you're Sheffield and listening to this.
Okay, cool. So before you go, where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, so main page is on Instagram at Wilson_boxing science. We've also got like other pages such as Boxing Science, and I haven't mentioned it yet, but we've got another page called Red Zone Running. So if you're into wanting to do high intensity interval training, if you're bored of running, we've got some really good workouts on there. You know, it makes running challenging and a little bit more interesting. So go and check out Red Zone Running on Instagram, and then go and have a look at our website, boxingscience.co.uk. Got a range of different articles, and you can mainly kind of navigate through a range of different subjects, and you can find our different social media platforms on there.
Okay, fantastic.
It's been great having you on, Dan.
And I'll share all your links in the bio anyway, so people can find you. And
Brilliant.
yeah, thank you for your time. Have a great day.
See you in the next one.
Cheers, guys.